Hey all, welcome back to SLB Basement Bourbon Bar. My name is Kurt. Today, we have a follow-up video from our previous series, Best Bourbons, for about 20 bucks. And this particular video is courtesy of the Minnesota Bass Hunter. Buddy, I appreciate you putting out this suggestion, and we're going to go with it. It created a nice thread of comments, and honestly, I look at every comment and I really try hard to give everybody what they want to see. And Minnesota Bass Hunter, you suggested let's follow up the $20 bourbon show with my favorite $20-ish rye whiskeys. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to roll out my favorite five $20 or so rye whiskeys. And what I like to ask you to do again, as the previous video, if there is one rye whiskey around the $20 price mark, if it's between $20 and $30, leave it for me in the comments, and we're going to take a running vote just like we did with the bourbons, and whichever rye whiskey that is not in my list tonight that has the most votes will be added to the five. We'll have 6 rye whiskeys, and next Monday we'll do a blind taste test and figure out which one is our favorite. Man, this stuff is lots of fun. Thanks so much, Minnesota Bass Hunter. Now, before I get started in this video, really quick, Trenton wanted me to mention he's worked his full butt off, and we're going to have, by the time this video views, what's the word, Trenton? This video airs, thank you so much. By the time this video airs on Thursday, he will have our SLB merch store up and running. He's going to put a link somewhere up in here, but also from now on, he will have the link for the SLB merch store in the description. So hit the link, you can go right there if you're interested in any SLB products. We're going to have shirts, Glencairns, and he's got all kinds of plans. He's been working hard. Kid's a worker. What can I say? Proud of him. But if you hit that link, you will be there. All right, the very first rye whiskey I want to show you. Come on, man. You probably already know. Wild Turkey 101 Rye. This particular bottle of Wild Turkey 101 Rye I bought for about $24. And it comes in, of course, at 101 proof. Wild Turkey is known to have a lower entry proof going into the barrel. That lower entry proof carries more flavor from the mash and gives Wild Turkey products a distinct flavor. Wild Turkey 101 Rye is said to be aged between 6 and 7 years in charred new American oak barrels. Now this is kind of a new bottle, as you can see into the bar, because you can see you got the pretty cool label, the nice new bottle design, fantastic. But I use this rye whiskey pretty extensively in the bar. A lot of cocktails, poured neat. It's really a fabulous rye whiskey for the money. It'll come in with a decent rye spice, and then it'll give you a little bit of mint and some honey, and then follow it up at the end with just a little bit of green apple. Some beautiful flavors. A well-rounded rye whiskey for the money, for sure. All right. Is that all right, Trent? Moving along. Ittenhouse Rye. This Ittenhouse Rye, bottled in bond, cost me about $24, and of course comes in at 100 proof. Ittenhouse Rye is one of the heroes of the rye world. Ittenhouse is a must-have in your home bar, neat, on the rocks, or in a cocktail. It's a bargain for 100 proof rye and one of the staple releases for Heaven Hill. All right, as you can see, yeah, I need to get out there and get myself another bottle of this Ittenhouse Rye. I use it quite a bit. Truthfully, I use it mostly in cocktails, but it is an awfully good sipper as well. I use it quite extensively in cocktails down here at the bar. And it's a little different because the Wild Turkey had a 51% of rye in the mash bill. This Ittenhouse also has 51% rye in the mash bill, but it doesn't really hit you with that rye spice. kind of like the wild turkey does. I get more of like a peppery type of a spice to it, not the minty type rye spice that you get. I get more of a peppery spice with a little bit of a savory notes to it, like an allspice or a clove, and maybe even a touch of vanilla. Just a beautiful, beautiful rye whiskey for $24. All right, moving along. Next bottle I have for you, Elijah Craig Rye. This Elijah Craig Straight Rye cost me about $27. Comes in at 94 proof. In October of 2019, Heaven Hill announced the launch of Elijah Craig Straight Rye, which would be packaged and priced similar to its bourbon counterpart, distinguished by new bottle decoration with the green features. This particular Elijah Craig Rye, my brother gave me. He was out and about, picked it up, asked me if I wanted one. I said, sure, I'll take it. I didn't really know what to expect. It was kind of a newer product. I'd never really had it other than several months ago, but it's actually really, really nice. You get a little bit of that rye spice up front, but then you get sweetness. You get some caramel and maybe a little bit of a nutmeg there. The rye spice is kind of like on a what's the best way to say it? Like on a minimal type level. You get it, but it just hits you a little bit and then runs right into the sweetness of the whiskey. Really, really nice. Exceptional. Made it into my top 5 rye whiskeys. Next in line, Old Forester Rye. This Old Forester Rye cost me about $24. It's a no age statement whiskey, and it comes in at 100 proof. Launching in February of 2019, Old Forester Rye is the first new mash bill for the brand in 150 years. It is inspired by a historic recipe for Normandy rye, which uses an unusual high percentage of malted barley in the mash bill, coming in at 65% rye, 20% of malted barley, and 15% corn. All right, I have to be honest about this. I mean, once Trent and I purchased this Old Forester Rye, I've kind of been a little bit obsessed with it. As you can see, yeah, we're using the heck out of it. And I don't know. There's a lot I like about it, and I think it's because of that little bit of an unusual mash bill. And for those of you that want to know what mash bill means, it's actually the recipe that goes into this particular whiskey. So the rye grain that goes into this particular whiskey is a little bit more than the ones over here. These over here were at 51% rye. This one comes in at 65%, but then it follows suit with that little bit higher number of malted barley, and I think that's where I really get so you get a little bit of that rye spice, but then immediately come in with a little bit of clove and allspice and a little hint of vanilla. And I think that's because of that malted barley that's in this particular mash bill or recipe for this whiskey. And I've just been loving the heck out of it. It's been fabulous. Absolutely had to make my top 5 rye whiskeys. All right, last but not least, might surprise you, Bulleit Rye. This Bulleit Rye whiskey cost me about $24 and comes in at 90 proof. Bulleit Rye is made from a mash bill of 95% rye and 5% malted barley. It is a sourced rye distilled at MGP but closely supervised by Bulleit. This is an on-age statement whiskey, but it is believed to be aged between 4 and 7 years. Another dose of honesty on this particular video. A lot of people have asked me through the last several months, what about Bulleit? What about Bulleit? What about Bulleit? What about Bulleit? So not that long ago, I purchased this Bulleit Rye. I have to be honest, I really wasn't expecting much. I don't know why. I do have a couple of Bulleit products down here. What do we got, Trent? The 10-year and the, what is it called? The blenders something. But both of them, to be honest with you, I like, but I've never had the Bulleit Rye or the Bulleit Bourbon. But anyways, I wanted to get the rye because I wanted to try to, open my horizons a little bit with my mixing ryes and things like that. So I didn't have a lot of expectations. I have to be honest with that. But let me tell you something. When I popped that cork, I was shocked and amazed. And Trent, remember, I even gave you a sip and you were like,
holy crap.
exactly. I knew he was going to say that. I knew, because that's what I said too. Holy crap. I mean, this thing comes in with a 95% rye mash bill. Now remember, I said that was the recipe for the bourbon. 51%, 51%, 65% rye, 95% rye. So I'm expecting a freight train of rye spice when I take a sip neat. On this particular bottle, I took a sip neat, and I got a little bit of that rye spice, just a little bit, but immediately I got a beautiful orange peel, orange type citrusy sweetness. That was the first thing that I tasted with this, and I thought, wow, that is so good. So when I dove into a little bit more, there's a little bit of a minty pine action going on there with just a little bit of a possible graham cracker or something like that, giving a little bit of a savory note to it too. But I'm telling you, for me, the most beautiful note of this was on the first mouthfeel was a beautiful orange peel citrusy type sweetness. I thought it was fabulous. I absolutely could not keep this off my top 5 list in the $20 range of rye whiskeys. Hey, let's have some fun with this. Just like we did with the bourbons, let's have some fun with this. Give me your vote. What should be on the bar top that you don't see tonight? And we'll go from there, and on Monday, we'll do the same thing. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll blind taste it, and we'll see which one we like the most. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching, as always. Man, I love to be with you. Love to spend some time with you. As always, we ask you to please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time right down here with me in the good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.